What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Drop, our weekly NHL on ESPN hockey program. Greg Wyshynski, Arda, Ocal, always happy to be with you. And Greg, we were treated to a barn burner full of point streaks. One of them continues, one of them stopped dead in its tracks. And we had Star Watch to watch every single second of it on ESPN Plus. Let's start there. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the Dallas Stars. The Stars set a record for shot attempts and get shut out, Greg.
Boy.
The Leafs win 4-0. And all eyes were on Jason Robertson and Mitch Marner, of course, because they both had dueling 18-plus game point streaks, which was the first time in NHL history that two players like that with active streaks had played each other. But it was an interesting game. But more important than that, it got us thinking, Greg. You had two franchise players on other sides, Jason Robertson, Mitch Marner, both of them with an extensive history of public debating of contracts as well. But if you were starting a team today, General Manager Greg Wyshynski, I'm sure a lot of people have their ears perked up when I say that line there. Which of those two players, Mitch Marner or Jason Robertson, would you actually pick to start your franchise?
Dude, two things. First off, I would love the chance to run a team into the ground. It's been a dream of mine to just completely Milbury a team at some point. Two, shout out Mira Heiskanen and Austin Matthews. You're both generational talents. We're not trying to leave you out. We're just debating Robertson versus Marner right now. But for me, it's Mitch Marner, right? Mitch Marner has a higher points per 60 at 5-on-5 with the last 3 seasons. His goals per 60, not too far off, to be honest with you, from what Jason Robertson puts up. And most important for me, Arda, is this. Mitch Marner kills penalties. Mitch Marner kills penalties. Jason Robertson, for whatever reason, you can maybe cite his skating ability or maybe it's a tactical decision to keep him fresher, does not kill penalties. Mitchy Marner does it all. I'll put up with the headaches and having to deal with his dad and say I'll take Mitch Marner to start my team.
I guess I'll take Jason Robertson. I mean, I would have also picked Mitch Marner. I'm taking Jason Robertson for this argument, though. One thing I did love on the broadcast, actually, I was lucky enough to be a part of it, was Ray Ferraro compared Jason Robertson to Luc Robitaille, and I'm like, wow. For a guy who's a Stanley Cup winner, a leader in the locker room, basically almost a point-a-game guy in his entire career, and he played, over 1,000 games in the NHL.
Yeah.
Legendary status, right? If you're being compared to someone like that at this point in your career, you're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel, and Jason Robertson, he feels so effortless with the puck. Like he grabs the puck and it feels like he's thinking 4 steps ahead. You always hear those memes about 200 IQ. Everyone's playing checkers while this person's playing chess. Oftentimes that feels like Jason Robertson on the ice when he's going up against a bunch of defenders. Mm-hmm. And so I really like Jason. I feel like there might not be a wrong answer here. Like, I feel like both of them would be solid choices. I do feel like Jason Robertson would be fine to start a franchise with. Sure. I think the Dallas Stars are very happy to have him, even though it took them a while to get to that point.
I think there's a righter answer, and it's Marner. But I'll say this about Robertson. There was a time when even me, a born cynic, would look at Jason Robertson and wonder if he was the product of the line on which he plays. Like Rupe Hintz and Joe Pavelski have been with Jason Robertson for this entire ride the last 2 seasons. Is he just a product of a hot line? I looked into the numbers. He produces wherever he plays in the lineup. He's not spent too much time away from those guys, but in the times he's been away from those guys, he produces no matter where he is in the lineup, much like Marner can produce skating with Austin Matthews or skating with John Tavares. I think Jason Robertson is not just the product of what is admittedly one of the most dominant lines in the NHL, which hopefully you saw my column this week on the most dominant lines and saw where that Dallas Stars trio ended up.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people might have said that about Marner, like Marner's surrounded by superstars, but You're right. He produces no matter where he is. That's why he's the magician. So we are in the holiday season, and shocking to anyone who watches this show, we loved themed segments. Bet you didn't see that coming, people. What a shock. we decided that we would play a little Secret Santa. Now, I want to be honest, Wish. I'm not a big fan of Secret Santa in real life. No, because I never know what to get. Like, I'd rather know, like, especially if it's like among like colleagues that I don't know that well. I'm like, what do? Do you just get a gift card? Like, if you don't know the person, how are you gonna, like? You can't surprise and delight in a Secret Santa unless you know something about the people you're getting for. Anyway.
I like Secret Santa. I like Secret Santa because I tend to be a thrifty gift giver. I get that from my dad, and there's always a price limit on Secret Santa. Now, granted, people go above and beyond it all the time, but I am a stickler for rules, and I think it's like a challenge to go to like a store and know how much you have to spend, and then get the coolest thing. I consider that to be part of the fun. Is the challenge.
Nothing says spirit of the holidays like economics. That's great. So in the spirit of the holiday season, we thought that we would play Secret Santa in the NHL. So what we're going to do is we're going to present you with some players, some figures, and essentially gift them to NHL teams. So I'll throw some names out, Wish. You get us started on where you think they would be best received or best scenario for them as a gift for an NHL team. Patrick Kane.
Now, keep in mind, in this Secret Santa, we're not going to pay attention to no movement clauses. We're going to try to ignore the salary cap as best we can.
No, that's Grinch. That's all Grinch stuff.
That's all Grinchy. Right, exactly. And by the way, isn't the story of the Grinch just the story of a man who wants to spend the holidays with his dog, Arda, when we think about it? Patrick Kane, you know where I put him? I put him on the Colorado Avalanche. Why not? Patrick, they actually kind of have a need on right wing. You know, they have the Kushkin in their top six. They could put Patrick Kane in their top six too. I would love to see Patrick Kane get another kick at the can at a Stanley Cup. He's got other opportunities to do so. But I'm also a fan of dynastic teams, Arda. The Avalanche, with MacKinnon out, they might be sneaking in the wild card this year rather than surging to the President's Trophy. Give me Patrick Kane on the Avalanche, and let's go.
And they definitely need bodies right now. The Avalanche are... What is going on? Oh, boy, that depleted roster. Unfortunately, the injury bug has certainly attacked. I'll go with the Islanders just because Kane and Barzal are buddies, so they could do the... they could have a buddy cop movie on the side. It would be for some fun social content, maybe. So for the sake of the Islanders' social media team, I'll say the Patrick Kane to the New York Islanders would be a great gift, at least for that department. Erik Karlsson.
So EK... obviously has a pretty large contract. He's got the no move. We're going to ignore that for now. Arda,
we're ignoring a lot, by the way. I just love how we're just like, forget about all of the important mumbo jumbo, okay? Right. Just buy into the segment, people.
It's the holiday season, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time for miracles. And wouldn't it be a miracle if the Tampa Bay Lightning could find a way to get Erik Karlsson under their cap? Let me tell you right now. Ever since those two beautiful Swedish boys, Erik Karlsson and Victor Hedman, dressed up like pirates at the All-Star game in Tampa, I have been enamored with the idea of those two guys combining their forces and trying to lead the Lightning to a Stanley Cup, to get Erik his first, to get Victor his third. If there was ever a way to get him out of San Jose, it'd probably be a tropical environment like Florida. And if there was ever going to be a team that he'd want to play for, it'd probably be next to his friend, Victor Hedman. So I would say Erik Karlsson on the Lightning, even if it is a financial impossibility based on how their cap is.
Now, I have a couple questions follow up here on that. I think it's Gasparilla, right? Is that the Pirates? Okay, so do you think that it's only for Gasparilla that they dress up, or do you think they become Pirates for the whole year?
I think, well, first of all, I think Victor Hedman dresses up for Gasparilla. I think Erik Karlsson, depending on the weekend, might be traipsing around the Bay Area dressed as Blackbeard.
He's Jack Sparrow all year long.
That man looks like he may have himself a pirate costume somewhere in his closet.
Here's some NHL booking for you. Okay, they become a defensive tandem. They do fantastic, but then they have a dip near the end of the year, and they need some inspiration. And just like how the Legion of Doom reunited with Paul Ellering once upon a time to get their mojo back. In comes Daniel Alfredson to lead them to victory as their de facto hype person manager on the sidelines. And this becomes the story of the year, where they raise the cup and Alfredson is crying a tear of joy on the sidelines, happy for his Swedish boys.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's a beautiful. At first, I thought you were going to say come out of retirement. I'm like, can you be in the Hall of Fame and play in the NHL? You probably can.
Why not?
I mean, if a dog can play basketball.
Exactly. Golden, what was it? Airbud Golden? No, that was football.
Golden,
Airbud Golden receiver.
Yeah, it was the football one.
So my Carlson pick was the Senators, and obviously it would be a nice homecoming. Honestly, it was simply because of the reception that he received recently when he went back to Ottawa. I'm a big fan of returns. I love seeing receptions. They warm my cold black heart, so I enjoyed. And hey, maybe Ryan Reynolds is a Carlson fan. Who knows?
You never know. You never know.
Barry Trotz.
All right, so Barry's on the sidelines right now. He's made noise about potentially coming back and coaching this year. There's only one spot I want to see him in, and do respect to John Hines, who's done an okay job, I guess, in Nashville. They've sort of turned their season around. I want to see him complete the Nashville story, man. Like you said, a storybook is a storybook. That man began his career with the Nashville Predators. He coached there for like 15 seasons. How many times did he make the playoffs, Arda, in those 15 seasons? Like only a handful of times. He's sitting there watching David Legwand skating around forever. You know, I want to see him come back and coach this Predators team. When Jussi Soros in goal with Roman Josi on the blue line, and I want to see Barry Trotz succeed where he couldn't succeed before, and potentially succeed David Poile as the team's general manager.
I will not accept David Legwand slander on this program, sir. Okay? We can't have that. We cannot be besmirching the good name of David Legwand.
And yet, it just happened.
It did. What about the Rangers? Original 16, Barry Trotz would love it. Would the Rangers fan base appreciate a coach like Barry Trotz? Might be a good option. I like your Predators pick. Trust me. I like the reasons there. I think it would be really cool. Rangers might be a good option, though, like in the now.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Yeah, Jacob, I mean, when you think about why Gerard Gallant would be fired, it would be because of James Dolan. And what does James Dolan do better than anyone? He just chases clout. He goes after a big name. And Barry Trotz would be the biggest name that is currently legally allowed to coach in the NHL. So I think we can go Barry Trotz with the Rangers, sure.
Yeah, Barry Trotz with the Rangers could certainly be a possibility. Jacob Chychrun.
Jacob Chychrun's a tricky one because I think there's a robust market for him. If I was going to put him anywhere, I would probably put him on the Edmonton Oilers, to be honest with you. That's a team that could use some defense. They don't quite know how to play it this season, unfortunately. He would certainly bolster their blue line. And again, if we are looking for someone to find his smile again as a player after years wandering the deserts of Glendale, now Tempe, give that man the point on a Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl power play and watch him go.
He's lost his smile in multiple cities, people. Multiple cities. I actually picked the Leafs for the same reason, because they're just struggling to find healthy defensemen. We were just talking about the Avalanche and their struggles with the injury bug. I think the Leafs need an exorcist to get rid of the demons that are plaguing their defense core right now. I don't know what's going on, but Chychrun would probably be a welcome addition there for both team and for fan. And finally, maybe the most fun name on the list, and he's not even in the NHL yet, Tank Hard for Connor Bedard. Where is he? Who are we gifting Connor Bedard?
I've given this a lot of thought, and I might make this a plank in my platform going forward. But it's the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers haven't had that focal point generational talent level player probably since Lindros. Life is more interesting when you have a Philadelphia team that is good and loathable. See also the Eagles, Philadelphia. And on top of them being relevant again, Arda, you'd also get a chance to see Connor Bedard, generational talent, the next Connor McDavid, ply his trade under the iron fist of John Tortorella. And who wouldn't like to see that for a few seasons?
Oh, that would be a lot of fun. To play fantasy booker again, if we're mentioning Eric Lindros, what clearly is going to happen, is Bedard is going to be drafted by, let's just pick a Vancouver rival, the Kraken, and Connor Bedard will refuse to show up and play for the Kraken, and then a giant trade will be orchestrated with which the Kraken will then end up winning Stanley Cups for many, many years to come, but we'll have to move cities first. So it's just going to be this giant convoluted story where congratulations to the Portland Kraken on winning 3 Stanley Cups or whatever.
Here are the 5 coolest things we saw at the NHL Shop New York City, located at Hudson Yards near the Garden. Let's go inside, shall we? By the way, this doorknob doesn't count as one of the 5 things. An actual Vegas Golden Knight stick turned into a bottle opener. Did it belong to James Neal or Ryan Reeves? Who's to say? Who needs new hats when you can have old hats? We're talking about the Minnesota North Stars, the California Golden Seals, the Hartford Whalers, remember the whale? And of course, the Toronto Spats. And the best logo of the last 30 years, the Vancouver Canucks Electric Skate. Shout out Pavel Bure. Classic jerseys, Mario Lemieux, Terry O'Reilly, Stan Mikita, Mike Modano, Jeremy Roenick, Brett Hull, and I'm going to be honest with you. I would wear these NHL logo hooded PJs every day, everywhere. You know, it's a shame these weren't available when John Tavares was a kid, because then every team would have had a shot to sign him. Finally, why have a shot glass when you can have a shot skate for the bender seeking to go on one? Those were the 5 coolest things at NHL Shop New York City, although I do miss those toasters they used to sell that put the logo on the toast. Bring those back.
I like the shot glass. That's cool.
Yeah, and filling and delightful. And it's like Das Boot. You have to twist the shot glass at the very end, or else the air bubbles will build up in the toe. Shout out to anybody who gets that reference.
The search for merch. This is where we put out a call to every team in the NHL to send us stuff. Any cool collabs, any fun merchandise, whether you're a team or hockey adjacent, this is your platform to show off what you got. Wish I got on the board in a heavy way last week. I got nothing this week. This is your chance now to redeem yourself.
Yeah. Heavy on the board is the phrase this week, because I've got myself a large bobblehead. That is Nash, folks, of the Nashville Predators fame. Holiday bobblehead, courtesy of FOCO. That's FOCO. If you want to check their website, they've got holiday bobbleheads for several different mascots, including Iceberg from the Penguins and Arda, Gritty. It's pretty dope. And they've got a number of different holiday bobbleheads. They also have some, I think, reverse retro jersey bobbleheads they're putting out too. That's FOCO, FOCO, if you want to look them up. And as per usual, that bobblehead, that Nashville Predators Nash bobblehead can be yours if you tweet either Arda at Arda or me at Wyshynski on Twitter with the phrase that pays. And Arda, the phrase that pays this week to win the Nashville Predators bobblehead, the phrase that pays is to catch a Predator bobblehead. That is the phrase. First person to tweet that to us gets the bobblehead. Congrats to the lucky winner last week of all that Leaf swag. Now You get a little Predators bobblehead action. To catch a Predator bobblehead is the phrase that pays. First one to hit us wins the bobblehead.
First of all, you're ridiculous.
Thank you.
Second of all, congratulations to James last week, who did win the Maple Leafs poncho and sleeping bag. Nice. That has been sent to you. So obviously, in the search for merch segment, we like to do giveaways with most of what we receive. And so that's really cool. So you get a chance to win a bobblehead that Wish just showed. Show it one more time. This is the bobblehead you can win. Again,
you got yourself some. You got yourself Nash. You got some little adornments.
How
here,
festive!
Gift throughs, full footy pajamas like we saw at the NHL store as well. It's an impressive collection. I like it.
How nice. So anyhow, any NHL teams or anybody hockey adjacent inspired or wants to do a giveaway on the show, feel free to reach out to us or send us your stuff, because we are always on the search for merch. Puck headlines. Let's talk about what's happening around the NHL. Dateline, Colorado. Nathan MacKinnon could be out for a month for the already injury-depleted Colorado Avalanche. Big loss. Big key to the success of the Colorado Avalanche are the Stanley Cup champions in November. We're past the Thanksgiving cutoff, Wish, and the Avs are depleted in terms of that roster. And now MacKinnon, are they in trouble?
No. So they know at full capacity that they are one of, if not the best team in the league. And so what they're going to need to do for the next month is scratch and claw and stay close to the wild card, 4 or 5 points out, try to manage as best as you can, rely on Cale Makar, rely on your defense and your goaltending. And if you're able to do that, then you're going to be okay. Because you know inherently that you can finish in the second wild card slot and still win the cup if you're healthy. Mm-hmm. And the other part of this I think is important is that, you know, they're going to make a trade for a center at some point. We all assume it could be a Jonathan Toews. It could be a Bo Horvat. If it's a Bo Horvat, people have been saying, well, make the trade now. MacKinnon's out. One problem. Vancouver's delusional. They still think they have a shot at this thing. So they're not going to be giving up this guy until much later in the season. So you're not going to find a dance partner now anyway. So just scratch and claw, stay close, maintain, get MacKinnon back, get Nikushin back. Hopefully you get Landeskog back, and then you're going to be fine if you squeeze into the playoffs in that last wild card.
I agree with you. I don't think it's concern. I think the more concerning thing, if we're looking for a reason to be concerned for the Avalanche, is just that we haven't been talking about them as much as you'd think you'd be talking about a reigning Stanley Cup champion at all this season.
Yeah,
I think that's the more concerning part, right? Like, they're already in the wild card right now. They're already battling for that spot. 27 points. They're basically neck and neck with Edmonton and Calgary. Like, it's not like they're in dire straits. You're absolutely right. Like, we don't need to overreact on the Colorado Avalanche.
No, and I think that's more about some teams getting shot out of a cannon at the beginning of the season than anything else. I mean, like, nobody expected Dallas to be this good. Nobody expected the Winnipeg renaissance to happen, where not only does Rick Bowness come in and crack skulls and get those guys playing well again, but all of a sudden Connor Hellebuyck remembered how to win a Vezina. So we didn't know those things were going to happen, right? And so that happens, combined with Colorado being a little banged up and still trying to kind of find its way without Kadri and things like that. It all adds up to them having kind of a middling start, but nothing that we should panic about.
Dateline Toronto. Matt Murray has won 5 of 6 starts, had the highest ever goal save above expected in a single game in their win over Dallas. Also, the Dallas Stars in that game against Toronto, the 4-0 win for Toronto, 93 shot attempts, which is the most amount of shot attempts since they started tracking the stat, the NHL did back in 2009, that a team had that many shot attempts but were shut out, which is incredible and speaks to the quality of play of Matt Murray, particularly in this game. Are we witnessing, on a general scale, and this is your wording, so I want to give you credit for this, the Murray-sance?
Murray-sance? Murray-sance. Murray-sance.
Well, you had an A in there. Murray-sance.
Matapalooza. Look, I think that we might be. Because one of the things that we heard at the end of last season, heading into the summer, was that there were some underlying numbers in Ottawa that told you that Matt Murray was playing better than his record and his stats would indicate. And that was sort of held up as hey, this might work out well for the Leafs. And it appears, based on the evidence so far in the quarter mark of the season, that might be true. Now, the other part of this that I really want to have happen is short of the Leafs winning the cup or winning a playoff round, the biggest football spike for Kyle Dubas would be if Matt Murray turns out to be a solid goalie again. Like, that is a gamble of gambles. And for that to pay off, I mean, don't take a full victory lap, buddy, but at least go 3/4 away around the track.
Oh, 100%. That's the single biggest piece right there. And for that to work out, and hey, right now, if you're looking at it right now in this all small sample size that we have, whatever, it's working out so far.
Yeah.
Like, this trajectory is fantastic. Leaf fans can look at that and say, wow, okay, if that continues, then we are in good shape. So,
yeah.
Dateline Jacob Trouba. Chicago's Andreas Athanasiou called the Rangers defenseman an $8 million player with 0 goals who, quote, tries to hurt guys on the other team just to justify his existence. Wish, is he correct?
Sure, but that's a great existence, and an existence that earns him $8 million a season. We don't have to like guys getting injured. and we don't have to like hits that toe the line of illegality. But we have to respect the fact that there are players like Jacob Trouba and Tom Wilson in this league who can deliver a hit and change the trajectory of a series in the playoffs. The Rangers aren't playing for a chance to go to the Stanley Cup final if Jacob Trouba doesn't deliver that hit on Sidney Crosby and another hit earlier in the series. The Washington Capitals were the beneficiary of 2 injurious Tom Wilson hits that changed the trajectory of series when they went on their cup run. I know we're not cheering for injuries here, but this type of player exists. This type of player is coveted by general managers. And the fact of the matter is that Jacob Trouba being on the Rangers gave them a chance to win, along with him being a little bit better than, the player that Athanasiou kind of made him out to be.
Now, Jacob Trouba certainly has had some questionable hits. Absolutely. The hit that came to mind as you were answering there, was the Rasmus Dahlin hit on Matt Nieto.
Yeah.
That was a 1,000% clean hit. Mm-hmm. There was no head contact. It was literally a powerful shoulder into the chest, and it was a bone-crunching hit.
Yes.
Those hits, give me those all day, because that gives you the same result that you were talking about. A clean hit that can change the course of a game, momentum, even a series. Those are perfectly fine. That's hockey. That's fine. And if we see more of that in the NHL, bring it on, because that is exciting. That brings you to your feet, and that's part of the game. And Rasmus Dahlin delivered it perfectly in that
Quality
instance.
Cronwalling. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it reminded me of. A Nick Cronwall hit. It was beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Speaking of the Buffalo Sabres, this is our question of the week. We always appreciate you reaching out to us, whether it's on social media, whatever it may be, with all of your questions. Thank you for sending in your inquiries to us. This one comes from bbay123, and bbay asks, can any of the Sabres triumvirate, great word, of Owen Power, Jack Quinn, or JJ Peterka unseat Matty Beniers for the Calder Trophy? That is a loaded question, because we're just gifting Matty Beniers the Calder Trophy, number one. Not to say he's not deserving to be in the conversation, but we're just saying, hey, Matty Beniers is already running away with this thing. But now let's answer the question, could either of those 3 Sabres names battle for that top spot, battle for the Calder Trophy in your mind, Wish?
Well, Peterka and Quinn are on a tremendous line right now with Dylan Cousins. Like they're really, really playing well, and you can see those guys finding chemistry, sticking together, putting up a lot of as season goes on. So I'm not saying no, but I am saying that right now Beniers has the points and the narrative, and you're also going to have to find a way to get around Stuart Skinner with the Edmonton Oilers, and more importantly, Logan Thompson with the Vegas Golden Knights to try to crack even the top 3 amongst best rookies, not to even mention Jake Sanderson with the Ottawa Senators, who still got a lot of support. At least it seemed that way in our last NHL Awards watch. So not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying that you not only have to have the numbers, but you also have to have the narrative. And right now they don't have the narrative. And that's the issue right now for them in the Calder.
I feel like Logan Thompson is going to be the toughest one to defeat as the season goes on, especially if Vegas continues to be awesome. Because how do you not, optically, okay, like even if you take the numbers out of it, but optically, a rookie goaltender that is the starting goalie for a team that is among the best teams in the NHL, that's clearly making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he has some good performances along the way. Like, it's really tough for a voter to not look at that optically and say, how do I not vote for this guy?
And on top of that, dude, like, again, it's about the narrative. Save their flipping bacon when Robin Lehner goes down. This kid comes in, everybody's like, what's this kid going to do? We're all thinking he's in there because he's cheap. Well, he's also in there because he happens to be the guy who might win the Rookie of the Year and backstopping the best team in the West.
So we got a few games for you on our ESPN family of networks this weekend, including Friday night Sharks and Ducks. I'll be in the host chair. Please definitely watch that. Also on ESPN on Sunday, the Avs and the Blues. That's a 3 p.m. start. That does it for us here on The Drop. Always appreciate you joining us every single Thursday on the NHL on ESPN channel. Hey, maybe we'll have an announcement regarding possible live shows returning in the new year. Can't announce anything right now, but maybe let's call that an announcement of an announcement.
This is the 15-second teaser that leads you into the trailer release the next day. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.